And we are live. Welcome to Connect with Keeney. I'm your host, Matt Keeney, and we are live at Connect Café, 107 East 2nd Street, Chillicothe, Ohio. We have some guests in the house, our friends from Epic. Thank you for joining us. We have some friends from Keeney's Kitchen and also our staff at Connect and Shank's Bakery. Shout out to Kindly and also Keeney's Kitchen. I'm joined today with a special guest, my friend, my mentor, my coach, Cory Gregory. Cory, how you doing this morning?
What's good, Matt? Look, if you didn't bring out that we are live from 107 East 2nd Street in Chillicothe, Ohio, I was about to. So I'm excited to be here. Look, once again, any entrepreneur needs reps. I think this is a great example of you're like, all right, Dre, hit the button. Let's go. So I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we can offer some value. And it's been a while since I've been on a mic that's going out to the audience. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so years ago, I drove up to Columbus, Ohio to literally sit in a seat right here, downtown Columbus. Cory, Maurice Claret, and his former business partner, just wanted to add value. Cold, snowy, rainy day, middle of January, drove up there to sit in the seat. And I got one opportunity to ask a question. I'll never forget it. And for Cory to be sitting here today, and probably Chillicothe, either you know Cory or you don't know Cory. And if you know him, you either like him or dislike him.
Facts.
So the true, what I like to say is authenticity. Authenticity is something that's not replicable. Cory can't be ripped off. You can't be ripped off. If you try to impersonate somebody else, you'll end up losing. Cory has, what he won't tell you, and I will, is he's sold over $500 million in product. $500 million. Like, that's a pretty big number.
Yeah,
you gotta
pretty
think
wild.
He grew one of the fastest growing supplement companies, Muscle Farm, in the late 2008?
Yeah, 2008 to 2015.
2008, 2015. He also shot a shot. He had a meeting with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not a one-on-one meeting, but in a boardroom. He had 5 minutes to present his shot. He threw down a magazine of him and his kids. He happened to be on the front cover of
Fitness RX.
Fitness RX. Arnold opens it up and is like, all right, you're legit. And Cory was the first person to sign Arnold to a supplement deal.
Yeah, besides Joe Weider.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, I told Joe that while he was alive, I wouldn't sign another supplement deal, and he had passed away about 2 years previous to that. And I got to meet Betty at his house at Christmas time, which is really cool. And I'll never forget it because I'm standing there and I'm looking at Betty Weider, who, Joe is the one that started the entire industry. And he says, Betty, come over here. Poke Cory in the abs. He's got these abs right here, and he loves to squat every day. And I was thinking to myself, like, how is Arnold introducing me to Betty Weider this way? It was an unbelievable moment, but it all started having a chance to showcase the discipline, showcase, kind of what I believed, and from my self standpoint, not knowing that Arnold would ever see that magazine.
Yeah.
It was just happened to be on newsstands pretty much at every airport on the way to California that day, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I share that story is like, man, Cory is now my friend, my teammate. What he also won't tell you is he's authored many books. I've never read a book my entire life, and I wish you would have brought it down today.
Oh, the Mindset Manual?
Yeah, the Mindset Manual.
I brought the other one. I didn't bring a Mindset Manual.
So 7 or 10 years ago, as I came onto Cory on Instagram, right, he's putting himself out there daily. I picked up, actually my wife probably bought me a book, the Mindset Manual. I read that in about 2 to 3 days, and it literally changed my life. So what's easy to do is also easy not to do. Any of us can write a book if we put the time in, if we put the reps in. Cory woke up an hour before he was supposed to, 2 or 3, you said, for like 30, 60 days. Yep. He would write 1,000 words every morning until he was able to produce that book. And with that book has led to multiple transformations, multiple mindsets, and allows me the opportunity to now be a business partner and more so than a friend with this man right here. So,
and shout out to Matt because, I've been in business for a long time, but an attractive personality and enthusiasm is one of the best things for any business. And Matt clearly has that, right? As everybody sitting in these seats knows that. And so I was, hauled up only really doing most of the stuff on the internet at this point. And Matt kept coming up to Columbus. And, once we decided to work together, and basically put me in that, put me in the refrigerator truck and had me out on the street every Wednesday, meeting people, getting, spreading Keeney's Kitchen up in the Columbus area. And I look forward to it every Wednesday because of Matt's enthusiasm and his excitement around building a business. And it reminded me of how I was when I first started and the chaos, like we just talked about with one of the guys sitting in the audience. And it's just like, that is so key, and it's so good to have somebody around you that represents that. So I might have represented that for Matt, and then he in turn represented it for me, which is awesome.
Yeah, and another shout out to Cory is what he's not going to tell you, then we're going to dive into some life and business is, raise your hand if you played 18 holes with Tiger Woods. Okay, so during the supplement areas, what's super cool, so not only did Cory get to play 18 holes, interview him, communicate with him, understand how winners operate. When Tiger's on the course, locked in, laser focused, right? We all have a job, a career, a passion. Are you really locked in? Are you distracted? Cory, could you tell us something about what you learned on the 18 holes?
Yeah, I just had the liberty of being around two people that, and then the third that if you're in lifting, by one name. So Arnold, Tiger, and Louis. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tiger Woods, and Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell. These are three of the most unique people that have ever lived. And what you see is an unwavering dedication to the craft to try to be great. And when you're around people where their expectation is at the level where the world knows them, you start to see how that really, their expectation, how they operate, what they expect to win, they know how to work. And so when you see that in 3D, you come home from that and go, what should I expect out of myself? How should I operate? How do I get better? And it's like a different, because it's just like anything. When I was a kid growing up in a trailer trying to, want something more from my life, I just wanted people to show me what I needed. How did it look? So when you watch and you see Tiger's I was up at this time, I hit 1 million balls. I'm here, we're doing this 8-hour photo shoot. We're playing golf or shooting this. And it's tomorrow next. Hey, Tiger, I asked him what do you get up every day to do? Win. Next question. Win. Next question. It was just it was so steely, just focused that there's no doubt why he became who he was. Same with Arnold. He's had multiple different lives and went to the height of each one. And it's because dude don't stop. Fly across the world, crazy schedule, get up still at 5. And I'm pretty good friends with his son, Patrick. They're man, my dad's knocking on my door. Let's go for a bike ride. No time change, doesn't matter. It's just one of those things when you see this is how elite people operate. And then you get to choose what version of that you want for yourself. And I think that was huge for me.
Yeah, for sure. Which leads me to the guest out there, in-person guest is, what's your schedule look like? Do I have flexibility? Do I have freedom? And there was years in my career, I was able to go home and take a nap at 2:00. In my early fitness training years, I would train from 5 a.m. to 10 or 11. I would find a law. I didn't have a lot of traffic coming in for personal training. I loved a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock nap. Just wasted, loved it. And then it became addicted to it. If I didn't get my nap, I was hangry, cranky. But then I'm pretending like I'm winning versus right now, my schedule is so full. I know there's a guy that's messaged me a couple of times, and whenever your schedule becomes full, know that you're in trajectory to where you need to be. And we're going to talk right now. I want to talk about morning routine. So anybody in here, DJ, Scott.
Shout out DJ. What up, DJ?
Marshall, morning routine. Cory, what time did your alarm clock go off this morning?
Yeah, I've got 3:30 and then a 3:40. I never make it to the 3:40 though.
Okay.
So I got the second one just in case I sleepwalk and turn it off, but I have a no snooze mentality. So yeah, 3:30. All
right, 3:30 in the morning, and then from 4 to 6 o'clock, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I get to the gym between 4 and 4:10. Train till 5:30, depending on if I'm doing today I didn't do conditioning, it was just lifting weights and doing some content. But then it's right from the gym right into usually conditioning with some type of personal development. And really by 6:30 I've already had an audiobook for around an hour. I've trained for an hour. I've done conditioning at the same time as I was doing the audiobook or the podcast. And so the one thing I want to talk about around that is intentional learning. I'm not just listening to somebody because they're entertaining. I don't care. I can entertain myself playing basketball or doing something else. Like, I'm intentionally thinking, so when I get done training, which by the way, I'm a weightlifter first. I want everybody to understand that. Like, I lift weights. That's what I do. That's what I always wanted to do. When I was a coal miner, I was like, when I get out of here, I just want to lift weights and get paid. I don't know how that's going to look. I don't even know if it can be my job, but I'm sure as hell going to give it a try. I spoke at Columbus State yesterday, where I went to school for 1 year at community college, and like I didn't even know a trainer that had this job. Like when I was growing up, like it didn't in coal country Ohio or down in a place like here, like in Chillicothe. Like no one's a personal trainer in 1997, and there's no internet. So you know what I mean. So like that understanding of like I needed to learn a lot because I was like I didn't have like a big education or even a lot of background. So it's like I knew early that I needed to search out and self-educate. And so I had to go intentionally, what don't I know about business? How can I help around my craft? What do I need to understand about marketing? How do I help with my relationship at home? Like, cause I've been married for, 22 years as of this month. And it's like, so there's all of these things that I need to learn more of. And so whatever I'm coming up across in life, I'm trying to hand pick those exact things, because what that does is the chaos, the overwhelm. I've been an entrepreneur since 1999, full time. So it's like, it's looked a lot of different ways, but each time I've had to say, what can I intentionally try to learn to try to take that pressure down? And that's what that conditioning / learning has helped me in the morning. And I became a much wiser person because of that.
Yeah, so often everybody wants to tell us to go to university, a 4 or 6 year degree. And I say,
I went 20 years by myself every morning.
Yeah. We have some construction guys in here, and I like to talk about, if I'm going to build a house, do I want a guy showing up with a suit and a tie showing me the blueprint, or do I want the guy that has dirt under his fingernails, has some wrinkles, and has 100 houses under his belt? Did that construction guy go to a 4-year university? Now, is there some things the 4-year university could teach him, maybe about numbers and business and things like that? But there is zero barrier to entry into so many businesses and into so many opportunities. I didn't even know what espresso was 2 weeks ago. I kept saying espresso. But guess what? I'm serving coffee. I learned it in 40 hours. I still study it. I'm not the best, but I'm going to continue to study until I get really, really good, which leads me into obsessed. For the past 60 days, I've been obsessed with Connect Café. Keeney's Kitchen has taken a little back seat, but I've been obsessed with my staff, obsessed with, I saw that sign in here. I saw this stage. I saw the walls way before it ever even got taken there. My wife checked me a couple days ago. Matt, I'm over here. Man, does that suck? Are you willing? Everybody wants to be a business owner. Everybody wants to think it's so cool to own Connect Café and Keeney's. What you don't see is responsibility. What you don't see is loans. What you don't see is a crazy amount of debt accumulated just to have the opportunity to be sitting in the seat. So make sure you're willing to sacrifice. And I looked at my wife, and she has the opportunity to work from home now, right? 2 years ago, she was a school teacher. I said, hey, I'm going to go to Columbus. I'm going to be business partners with Cory. He don't know it yet, but I'm going to knock on his door. I'm going to tell him exactly why we're going to start a meal prep company in Columbus. Told her that a year before I approached him. Cory, are we business partners?
Yeah. I mean, when Matt finally hit me up about that, I FaceTimed him immediately and said, all right, what's the deal? I mean, he had been creating a relationship with me for about 7 years. And every time I would say, hey, go check out, do this, whatever questions he would ask, he would just go execute it. And then he would give it some time and then come back. And so the way that he cultivated the relationship over time, it was all based around delivery, being a good dude, enthusiastic about his craft and delivery. And at the end of the day, as I saw this grow, I was like, hell yeah, this is part of the business I've never been involved in. I've had supplements and training and apps and everything that you can imagine fitness-wise, except for meal prep. And so it was an easy yes.
Yeah. And then also, like, whenever you're going to go approach that, contact the relationship you're wanting to build. As I've built a relationship with a lot of people sitting in here, from Shanks to Scott yesterday to Marshall to Matt's not here, Cole. Expect nothing in return. Build the relationship first. The return will come later. And
Matt, tell me about your morning routine? Because obviously like yours is similar, but maybe a little bit different, because you talked about the pressure cooker of business. And that's one thing that, maybe social media doesn't capture, right? All the time. But then how are you offsetting that pressure cooker with morning routine or certain things to be able to execute at the level that you are right now?
Yeah. So whenever I wanted to change, whenever I wanted to chase my goals more than I was willing to accept my pain, I followed Cory's blueprint. You can ask my wife, I woke up at 3:15 every day for 12 months straight. I went and invested in myself. I was working at the Atomic A plant. I clocked in there at 6:30. So I'd be at the gym by 4. I would train from 4 to 5:30. I would come through Lucasville and go to work. And at 5 o'clock, I would go back to the gym and I became a personal trainer, trying to build my craft. But back to the morning routine. Currently, my alarm clock goes off about 4:45 or 5. I found the sweet spot that I'm at the gym by 6 a.m. I'm training, lifting weights from 6 to 7. I like to do 30 minutes to an hour of cardio. That is my mindset time. I'm either meditating, I'm either reflecting on the business, what went well. I'm even rehearsing tough conversations. I have 50 staff members. Do you not think that tough conversations need to be had between managers, payroll, quality, human resources, all that? So rather than going into the meeting and having my emotions get the best of me, I've already rehearsed the conversation many times over. When they respond this way, I have a response. When they respond this way. So I'm never going to allow my emotions dictate my actions. I've already thought it out. So it's non-negotiable. Cory taught me this years ago. I don't rely. You can ask my wife. Saturday, Sunday, and she gets mad at me. Sunday, 6 or 7 a.m., guess where I'm at? On the treadmill. Not because I care about the calories. I'm on the treadmill to protect my mind.
Well, and the preparation that you're talking about is what's necessary, because we're all just so distracted, me included, right? We're on social media, everybody's shaking their head because we all know it, right? And I spoke to the college yesterday and I was like, look, that's like one of the main things that you can separate yourself. And I think that, when people don't give themselves time and space to think, like I drove down here, it's an hour and a half. I didn't even have the radio on the whole time. And I didn't call anybody. Like I could talk to my wife about 10 minutes before, but the reality is that we need space so the things that we're given, that is God given to us, can actually work, like intuition, like understanding. And so like, I think that those are faculties that are given to us as people that get fuzzy when you're super distracted. And when you hear people say gut feeling, like when I go into like different, like obstacles or things, like I'm trying to rely on what I think, and I'll get some like third party, like, points of view, but really what you feel, if you're not so distracted, is so key. And I think that people are just missing that a lot right now. And so, including me. So it's like, I try to be more present, especially in those early morning times, because as soon as I start reading a spreadsheet, which I'm not very good at, as soon as I start having to do operations, which I'm not very good at, I'm like a bred entrepreneur to the fullest. It's ideas, it's vision, it's a way to sell it. It's like, the excitement and enthusiasm. And so it's like, but once my brain gets into those other things, it's hard for me to get back to the stuff I can be great at. And so if I'm distracted and I don't even like get a chance to get there, then I'm not as effective.
Which is why we both really like early morning routine. What happens around 8 a.m.? Can anybody in the room tell me what happens around 8 a.m.?
Your phone starts ringing.
Ding, text.
Yep.
So you're not on your time. From 5 to 6 a.m., you ain't getting no text messages.
Nah.
So that's the power of the early mornings. All right, Cory. So we're 25 years into entrepreneurship, business. Everybody on the outside, we see the wins and this and that. Talk to me right now about a hurdle you're facing within. Cory owns and operates a max effort supplement company. So after the big brand, he transitioned out, signed a non-compete, and 1 year later to the non-compete, he opened his own direct-to-consumer supplement company, which is now sold as a multi-million-dollar company by him. So currently, right now, tell me a little adversity going through.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, once I got done with Muscle Farm, which I was the co-founder of, I had a non-compete and I started the Cory G Fitness app. So I signed with Reebok initially, like in 2015 as like a influencer or whatever, which was pretty cool. I had a couple year deal with them. I started my own training app where we had, like literally the first day, 800 people sign up for it, which is super cool back in the day. And then we started the direct to customer supplement brand. As of now, we've done over 200,000 orders direct, sold about $23 million like direct, which I'm pretty proud of, with no marketing, just straight organic. And so now though, when I started that business, there wasn't as much saturation in the marketplace. There's a lot of people in fitness, but the entry point's different. Way more people can have their own protein or their own app, and there's all these white label stuff, and it's just different than it used to be, right? So you have to keep trying to, like, the business evolved. It wasn't as easy. What I could do, I could give a free hoodie away and do 50G in a night. Now I give a free hoodie away and I do 5G, just different, right? So I try to figure out, how can I reimagine it? How can I create a different situation for people? One of them's community, which is what you're doing here too with Connect. Matt is like, okay, if people are going to, commit to us to be a Mafia subscriber, which is what we call it, they're going to buy three things every month. What can I offer to them that's something that can be on their calendar, keep them accountable, keep them motivated, and create just an inspiration? It was these in-person events. So now, not only if you're a Mafia member, you get a chance to be in a transformation contest, which we have at the beginning of the year. By the way, I give a Mercedes away, I give a Rolex away. The third place gets a night on the island. Like, it's super dope, right? And we changed.
Cory, I'm going to stop you right there. 5 years in a row. 5-6 years in a row.
Yeah, I think we've done a Rolex for like 8 maybe.
Yeah. Literally, Escalade, Mercedes-Benz. If you're willing to transform your mind and body, every single March he gives away a Mercedes.
Yeah, we have 1,000 people pretty much do it at least every year, which is pretty wild worldwide. And like, I didn't even know I would own this stuff, let alone give it to somebody else. Like, I'm giving away $15,000 watches and, cars and shit. It's wild. But the transformation is wild also. And so we literally changed thousands of lives with that. So you buy supplements, you get in that. And then also we had, a big event during the Arnold where we have speakers and we have a DJ at the gym at 4 to 6 a.m. and multiple people like Matt is going to speak this year at it, offering value. Then we have the Muscle Island Olympics where we had about 150 people from all over the country come out to Muscle Island. We have boats, ferrying. Matt comes and does the food, people lifting, camaraderie, unbelievable. And then lastly, we had a Fall Community Classic. So,
Cory.
Yeah, good.
All right. So I'm going to tell the guest here. Actually, we have a guest in here, DJ, that actually did some work. So
a lot of work.
He's referring to Muscle Island, Buckeye Lake in Granville, Ohio. There was a vacant piece of property, about 1 acre piece of property, overgrown. Cory one day decides he sees it on Zillow and it's property. He's like, called a friend, got on a boat, went and looked at it, said, I'm going to buy the island and I'm going to build a house. And within 24 months, there is a house on an island that he now owns. And I would probably say you wasn't financially ready for that investment.
No, I think like I've been teaching myself all these things all these years, but it was my test. See, that's what was cool, is like, I'm looking at this and it's in Buckeye, it's in Millersport, Ohio, which is like 20 minutes from where I live. I'd never been on the lake. Well, I've been on the lake one time. What I did know though is that the founder of Wendy's had an island there. The founder of the Dispatch had an island there. And there was essentially one island left. And this is back to the intuition, right? So I see it. I'm looking for a fixer-upper on Zillow. And I find this island and they had just decreased the price a little bit. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go look at it. So I drove to another island that you can see it from. And I was like, ooh, this looks like a lot of work. And I don't know nothing about any of this stuff. Second day, I'm talking in the gym with a couple of my friends and they're like, Brian Peters, who played in the NFL, was a captain at the Texans. He's like, hey, my grandparents got a boat up there. Let's go look at it. Jake Emery jumps in too, who did the pipeliner. So anyway, we go and we drive around it, and I got a video from that day, and I'm like, okay, could I really own an island? And this shit looks crazy. And I like, how do I even get anything there? Like, because everything has to be barged over, and I never drove a boat before. The end of that week, I had my insurance agent take me over. And this is kind of what I want you guys to hear, is I was like, all right, I'm going to swim over to it. I need to stand on it. So I walk in to where no one can see me, and I'm standing in the middle, and it is a jungle, to say the least. and I'm sitting. You can stand in the middle of the island and not even see the water. That's how bad it was. By the time DJ got there, we at least had some trees cleared and stuff. But anyway, so I stood there and I just took a deep breath and said, is this me? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Even though I don't know anything about any construction, building anything. And everything in my heart just said that this is like a legacy piece of property. I have to move forward. Is a calculated risk for my financial understanding. I didn't grow up having money or understanding money, so I've taught myself over time. And I was like, all right, game on. And I owned it in 2 weeks and 2 days. I messaged DJ's brother, Seth, July 1st of 2024, I believe, about if we could build a shipping container house on it. 2023. July of 2024, we were barging it over. You know what I mean? And the collab project was unbelievable. The house is unreal. The amount of like inspiration it's created, I think, through the community. And it feels like a little bit weird to say like on my island or whatever, but it is like a super cool thing that I took pride in, because I was there literally all the way through the process of getting the utilities under the water, creating the seawall. Like I was in there with like my mud boots, like getting after it. And so, which I like. So yeah, it's a wild process.
Which leads me to say the fear of starting. We have many friends. We have many siblings, acquaintances. Man, I want to start this. And they will paralysis by analysis, overthink it. You can ask my wife, she's in the back. I will start and either fail, and I'm not afraid to fail, right? I would say I grew up in a trailer. My mom had me at 17. She didn't have the opportunity to graduate high school. My dad was an addict. What do I have to lose? I can always go back to the trailer. I can always go back to the trailer, and I turned out okay. So fear of failure. Just start and figure it out along the way.
Here's the difference, Matt, is like I think about that situation, and it was scary for sure, but I wasn't scared. Scared is defined. Like so scared that you can't, like you won't move forward. It was scary, but through the morning routines and the confidence I built, I thought I was confident enough to figure it out. That's the thing. Like you don't understand coffee a whole bunch, but you thought you could figure it out. Yeah. You believe that you could figure this. So it's like, that's part of the moving forward. Like I think a lot of people think they got to have all the answers. And I would argue that I have none of the answers. Probably have about 60% of them. Maybe. Yeah. And then I just move forward with confidence to try to execute.
Hey, I think this question would be good for the audience or in-person guest is how to build or grow a business in a saturated market. For example, salon, barber, personal trainer, tattoo, CPA, accounting, sales, marketing. And then we even have some local contractors here. Yeah. There's, look up contractors. I'm sure there's 100 in Chillicothe. How do you separate yourself? How do you grow? Well,
yeah, this is one of the things that I'm even doubling down on right now because of my market being so saturated, and it's the authenticity, leaning into who you are. Like I'm this weird mix of like blue collar, but I like basketball and like hardcore powerlifting and rap music and like podcast. I like this mix of all this wild stuff, but that's what makes me me. And I would argue that everybody has those versions, and I've just never really been afraid to just be myself. When I first started working with Arnold, people used to ask me like, are you going to get into acting? Do you want to get a movie? I'm like, bro, I can't act like anyone else but myself. Yeah. And that, I mean, it's just the truth. I'm good at being Cory, and I've only tried to keep doubling down on that. And so if you ask me to be like someone else, that's actually makes me more nervous. Yeah. And so like, I would even argue like when I do things like this, if I over prepare, it makes me more nervous. I just want to know, like Matt didn't even send me any of this stuff. I don't need, like, cause I know I'm just going to answer it how I would if it was just me and him, cause we were going to be here doing this anyway. And it's just awesome that anyone, came to watch it. And so the reality is, I think if you can continue to build confidence like that, then when you kind of move forward to separate yourself, that authenticity is the key. How do you give your bid? What process do you take them through? Whatever you're involved in, like, and just like from content processes, the color scheme, it doesn't matter. Just being yourself will always help because it's going to attract people, because I'm the first person, like I've always been this way. If I come into a room and somebody got purple hair, I want to talk to them. I'm just being honest. I've always been that way, because if you're willing to walk out your house like that, then I know like me and you should have a discussion. Like I've had friends, because I had this one friend, crazy pork chops. First time I met him at the CrossFit gym, I went right over to him and said, bro, Like me and you need to be friends. So it's just, my point is that there's an authenticity component that people are drawn to. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it than most, but I think it's something you should definitely lean into so you don't like kind of blend in any business, honestly.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Authenticity is something that nobody can take from you. And I say people can fake it for a while. I'm meeting new friends up here, and I promise you I'll stand by this to the day that I die. I am who I say I am. Don't trust me. Do not trust me. Allow me to prove you. I'm going to show up today, tomorrow, and the next day. And luckily, I got God on my side. I got my wife to answer to. And I say that out loud because when you see me in 3 months from now and you're like, if he's squirrely, one, it's not going to happen. But two is I give you permission to never step back into this facility again. And that's where we're at with that. This is another one, Cory. Mm-hmm. The difference between being a business and the difference between being self-employed.
Like entrepreneurship versus self-employed, essentially. Or I just think like what I had to realize is that I thought I was like a businessman, right? And I realized that I'm actually not. I'm actually an entrepreneur. There's a difference. I think business, now some entrepreneurs can be good at systems too. I, however, am not that great at it, to be straight, which is why I need compliments around me to help with that. So what I didn't realize early, and I'm sure Matt can identify with this, is like you become a one-person show when you're starting stuff a lot, and you wear a lot of hats, and it's a lot of work. Then you start to realize like, one, I need somebody in this spot, in that spot, in this spot. And not only are they better than me at that, like we're not going to grow unless I fill that spot. And so I think like sometimes, you can kind of think, well, if I'm adding overhead, I'm adding this. It depends on if you have like where you're trying to push the business to. I just think identifying like who you need around you, what you're not good at, what can complement is a huge thing. So like when I look at now, if I think about the vision, the ideas, the understanding, like I don't know if some of my people are capable of all the way that like I am. And so there's both. So I just think there's a difference, and maybe you can identify like, maybe I'm not the visionary, maybe I'm the systems person, and maybe your expectation of yourself might be in the wrong frame. That's the other thing, is to understand too. I think that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I look at it as a business versus self-employed. A business can operate without you. So a lot of people want to be a business owner, but they are the business. Business, I say, if I get in an automobile accident and I'm laid up for 2 or 3 months, can Connect Café continue to carry on? Can Keeney's Kitchen continue to carry on? Versus, hey, I'm the barbershop. I'm a one-man barbershop. I'm a business owner. Well, are you a business owner or are you self-employed? Okay, so I just think that's key from anywhere from 18 to 30. Are you self-employed or are you a business owner? Business creates money, passive income while you're sleeping.
Oh, I get what you're saying. So yeah, when I was a personal trainer, like I had to be there. I wasn't making no money. As soon as I started putting, supplements on GNC shelves, that changed the whole thing. Because now I'm selling millions of dollars in product and I'm not even there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. That's the way that it's a completely different situation.
But then what's super cool in personal training and sales, accounting is to build a team. Cory realized if I train one person at $35 an hour, $50 an hour, which in personal training, that's hard. Nobody wants to pay $20 an hour in our demographic. But he's like, how can I train 5 people at $20 an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, now what's my 800? Then that's where I became successful in CrossFit. Identified I'm from Lucasville, Ohio, 1,800 people, 2 red lights. Nobody's paying me $35 an hour to personal train you. Don't have the money. I was like, well, what if I can train 20 people at $7 an hour? And guess what? From May until August, I was training about 45 people in 2 hours in a school parking lot outdoors with 0 overhead. And that's what led me to be able to leave the A plant. So I always say, if there's a will, there's a way. Think outside the box. Be willing to do what the other person is not willing to do, and you'll be able to be successful.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Next question leads me into the power of delegation. Power of delegation. So we want to be successful, we want to be good. Are you hanging on to it? Scott, you're just now growing your company. Are you hanging on to everything? Are we building leaders to help facilitate the company? Cory is only as good as his team. You want to talk about how whenever you delegated, you began to grow?
Yeah, definitely. When I started delegating, I started growing. And the other thing is speaking confidence into those people. Like I'll literally say like, yo, I'm like, you don't even want me to do this part. Like I need you to do it. So don't do what you think I think you should do what you should do because you think that's what's necessary. Like, so if you've got quality people and you're hiring quality people, speaking confidence into them so they can move confident to scale and build this stuff, because why are we having them help if they're just doing what I think? Like, that's not the whole process, right? And so I had to get better at that, because even though I don't view myself this way, I saw a lot of my guys working with like a pressure cooker around me because they were trying to do what I thought I wanted them to do, and that's not the case. And so I think like sometimes going that extra text message, that extra thought around like speaking confidence into them so they can just be themselves. And then if it's something crazy that you can like, address it. But I've continually tried to do that, to say like, no, we are like killers only. Like, this is what I need. I need your output. That's why you're in this chair. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's important.
As leaders, coaches, business owners, professionals, being able to identify talent. Tell you a quick story. So this opportunity right here at Connect Café was kind of brought to my attention around August 1st. Okay, this guy holding a camera right here, I seen him operate for about 6 months. Shout out Dre. He's sat over here in a chair. I happen to be selling meal preps next door, his head down, and he's just chomping away. Then he begins showing up on my social media, and I'm like, man, that's really good quality, man. Like, one, I'm intrigued by the message. Love his, would anybody raise their hand and say Dre's authentic? Who can wear those
Look
jeans?
at them jeans, boy.
Those earrings, authenticity. So I'm like, who is this dude? There's no way. And then as we talked, man, just the conversation, humble, soft to speak, thinker. I'll ask him a question, and I'll end up answering the question because it takes him 30 seconds to answer the question. Now I've realized I just got to ask the question and be quiet. He was like, I don't say anything unless I'm ready to say it. But being able to recognize talent and go for it, knock on the door. So I recognize talent. Once I made a decision to go with Connect Café, I knew this stage is what I wanted to do. I built a relationship with Dre and said, hey, I have an opportunity coming that I would like to work with you. And I'm going to share you this. This is how business works. That same walk around the block that I just had Matt do yesterday, Dre said, hey man, I'm hosting an event November 15th. We're going to have 200 or 300 people. I'm getting ready to sign a cater. How much would you charge? And this is really not about me. I said, I got you. We're not worried about money. I want to invest in his ministry, and then therefore I know, at some point, but I couldn't even tell him about this project yet because it wasn't really official. I said, but I have a project coming that I would just be hopeful that you could join me. And then once I was able to tell him, he was like, yo, I had that same idea. I wanted, to build the stage and have this events in here. So, when you identify talent and knock on doors, I think good. What's the worst could happen? He said no. Then I would have just had to go source another credible, but thank God that he's here.
Yeah, and you guys came up and came to Max Effort, came by and saw me on the island, which was super cool. Got a chance to meet Dre and see like kind of where his heart is and the things that he could help with the stuff down here. And here we are live with the audience. It's amazing. Pretty cool.
All right, so next question, which is pretty cool. Cory actually wrote a book on this, How to Build Ultimate Confidence. So that's my question, Cory. How to build ultimate confidence?
Yeah, I think it's just reps, right? And I think that at the end of the day, consistency is an interesting thing. It's the easiest thing to understand and the hardest thing to execute. That's like one of the things that you hopefully will take away from today. Like, I'm definitely not special. I just am extremely consistent. And I think that every time I'm having a problem wherever, I'm like, where can I add consistency to figure it out, get a chance at something different or whatever it is. And I think the consistency is what created the confidence, because even when you're getting your butt kicked, you got to be consistent to get out of it. Even when you're winning, you got to be consistent to keep it going. And I think that it's one of those things that I just knew it was a non-negotiable for success. And when I got some small wins, like the first time Irene paid me $20 to personal train with her, the first time that I started my own business when I was 20 years old, like for $4,000, like it's like those little wins were all because of consistent operation. And so what I kept thinking was, well, if I just don't stop and I continue to build confidence and I continue to, kind of climb, what could really happen? And because I had a few small wins, but the real key was I was a consistent worker underground first. My stepdad taught me how to work, how to double on my last day's pay. So literally my best paycheck in the coal mine was 93 hours in 1 week. Like I never saw the light of day for like months. Like I went to go see my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. And I remember I was driving to Cleveland and my eyes were watering so bad because I got out at quitting time. I had got up and it was dark. I went to work in the dark. I came out and it was dark for so long that back then there's no direct deposit. This is way, like my paychecks was just piling up at my parents' house on my dresser because I wasn't out of the mine when the bank was even open. And I got out at 4 o'clock and I went to go see my wife in Cleveland. I had to pull over to the side of the road because it looked like I was crying because I was like nocturnal at the time.
Yeah.
But when I say like, so I understood that those consistent reps, which is what was giving me an opportunity to change my life. And so if I just, once I understood that that could work, it really hasn't not been understood since. And so it's like, you building the confidence on those reps at that level, was massive for me. And I just thought I literally thought this, if I can apply that coal mining behavior to personal training, who's going to beat me? Who's going to have the story?
Yeah.
Who's going to be willing to do that? And the answer was, I just didn't think anyone else. And whether that's true or not, that's what I told myself. And I've just continued to apply that. So, that is where you build the confidence, is you're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to win some. I would argue that I lose more than I win, but the wins are big enough that you're able to say, Cory got an island. But even like when I felt like I was getting my butt kicked in 3 other things, but that was happening. And so the reality is, and I came up with this thing, like even when I'm losing, I look like I'm winning.
Yeah, agree.
It's like, but it's still difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was thinking about things on the way down here of change. It's just what it is. It's part of it.
I was having a conversation yesterday also, confidence. How do we build confidence? Cory just said it, reps, consistency. And then also I would challenge you to say, the mirror is your greatest asset or your biggest nemesis? Do I like the reflection in the mirror? How can you be confident if you don't like yourself? How can you give to others if you don't like yourself? And I fought with that a little bit inside my gym. Some of my gym members are like, oh, there's a mirror in our gym. Like, that's vain. Like, what do we do when we brush our teeth every time? Hopefully everybody brushes their teeth out there, right? We look in the mirror. You either like yourself or you dislike yourself. And the only way to like yourself is to stay true to your subconscious thoughts. Be consistent. The more consistent you are, the more wins you are.
Yeah, I'm brushing my teeth thinking this thing's under construction, bro. Like, it's like I'm looking at it like I'm just under construction, like constantly. Like, I'm moving this way, I'm building that. And I think if like you kind of view yourself that way, that's really important. And I think that that's where that confidence comes, that you're just leaning on that you are constantly getting better. Most people that have success are obsessed with getting better on a regular basis. Like, they're intentional about what they're learning. That's where all that morning stuff has paid off. I had a mentor of mine that I hadn't seen for a long time. He had like in Columbus, he had up to 1,000 homes he was building at one time when I was younger, and I was a personal trainer and I was around him when I was like 21, 22. And he left, retired, and came back, and I ran into him at the bar in Granville one time. And we was on his porch smoking cigars. Now, he was gone for that entire stretch of personal training to Muscle Farm to Max Effort, and it just came back into my life a couple years ago. And I was sitting there talking to him, and he looked at me and he's like, look, I haven't seen you in a long time, but I kept up online what was going on, but you just seem wiser than, I don't know, I guess I expected. I'm like, well, first off, I've got my butt kicked a ton. I was like, but honestly, I think it's from all the development in the morning. And it was like, I've been like reading or listening to stuff like for an hour almost every day for so long. And he was like, that's what it is. He's like, because he's about 20 years older than me. And he was like, that it's the intentional learning. And he picked up on it. And he's a really insightful, like, good businessman. Yeah. And so it was good to hear because it was reconfirming that I was putting all that time in to hopefully try to improve myself.
Yeah. Hey, Dre has a microphone here. I would love to get, the rest of the time is your guys'. This is 9:50. We've been going for about
this was some questions,
30 minutes, but go ahead, Dre, pass the microphone to, and Brooke, you get one question to put me on the spot, the hot seat.
Oh yeah, all the way in the back.
Hey guys, how did you two meet?
Okay, so the power of Instagram. The power of Instagram. I was in training at my CrossFit gym in Portsmouth, Ohio. I just injured my wrist because my ego was really big. I did a power clean of 300 pounds and I wanted to do 305 pounds. Dumbest thing you could ever do. and I injured my wrist really bad, and I was obsessed with working out. So my coach said, hey, I just came across the guy on the internet that was squatting every day. So why don't you just commit to a 30-day squat plan and keep bringing your butt inside the gym? In which at that time, there was a bodybuilding.com, and this guy right here, I broke the internet on a squat everyday program in the, 2014, 15?
Yeah, it was like 2014. I think like the first month we had like 60 million page views.
So 60 million views. So as you look at, Dre's TikTok following, like I was in the obsessed watching Cory squat in the morning, and literally that's how I met him. Then I realized that he was from Columbus, Ohio. He had a gym in Columbus, Ohio. So I made it a point. He had a fitness app that had a community. I said, hey, Cory, could I come work out at your place at 4 a.m.? He doesn't really turn anybody down, because who's going to show up at 4 a.m.? If you show up, he's going to give you time. Man, I was scared, like pulling into that gym, and man, a grown man scared to death. But that's really how we met, and I just continued to water the relationship. It was like, be respectful of his time, ask a question, not beat him up on email.
It was very pinpointed over time, and that's why I kept seeing the progress, right? Because like one of the things that as I got more popular on the internet, I had a hard time kind of managing my time when people would ask. I want to help people, honestly. But what I started to understand is I would give them a task. Hey, go lunge for 400 meters for 30 days and get back to me. A lot of people just wouldn't get back to me. So I started coming up with these things that I would throw people, and if they would do it, then I would give them more time. And so every time that Matt would either ask for something or tell me he was going to do something, he just kept doing it. And so the reality is he built like the relationship through just delivering. And I want to be with people that are about it. Don't tweet about it, be about it. Like I want to be about people that are about making things happen. And Matt just continued to progress to where then when he was asking to work together, it was an easy yes. Because at the end of the day, like I could trust him. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So so we met, but it was like a 5, 7, 8 year, like he said, he came up to when we did some live podcasts back in the Business of Bicep days. Matt, I think, listened to my podcast like each Monday for a long time that we had. We were one of the top 10 business podcasts on Apple for a couple years. Like it was pretty sweet. So it's cool.
Good question, Josh.
Yeah, it was a great question.
Brittany.
So I am up early in the mornings, and I would like to start listening to podcasts, things like that, be more intentional.
Sure.
What is something that you would recommend someone to start with?
Yeah, I love Mel Robbins' podcast, which is really big with a lot of females and just everybody in general. I like Rich Roll's podcast. But also from an audiobook standpoint, I would just really look at like, where's the top 3 or 4 things you're like, I want to work on? You know what I mean? That doesn't matter if anybody else agrees with you. It's just whatever you think. And then start to do some research and be like, and so that's what I always think, like, what am I having problems with right now? And that's a bunch of different things from time to time. And I'll just be like, what is the best use of this exact hour in the morning? When you get that all lined up, your level of confidence and operation and presence and like the way you're executing just changes. And then people will start to notice it on you too, because then like once that intentionality with that discipline and that confidence kind of all meshes together, it can be sneaky great. And I think you'll feel a big improvement from that. But yeah, if you shoot me a message, I can give you some other ideas. But I think those 2, I think you would really love.
And Cory and I talk about the exercise. If it doesn't have to be that. It could be a walk. It could be reading a book. Just be consistent at something before going to work. Because when you go to work, you're on everybody else's time.
Yeah.
I always say, fill your cup before you can give somebody else's.
Yeah. No, it was a great question though.
All right, thank you guys so much again for what you're doing. Just had a follow-up question about this place in general, because in this community, this place holds a lot of negative connotation, I feel like, these days. But I saw your honor that you give to God, Matt, and your desire to bring connection back. In a digital age that we live in, why do you think it's so important for us to interpersonally connect again?
We're moving into a AI age. AI is coming, right? We're losing jobs at Amazon. However, what I also loved about Gary Vee said, what is not ever going away is human connection.
Nice.
So as we tend to dive into these phones and robots, is if I lean into my authenticity, if I lean into the power connection, it's a separator. So if I can build a safe haven, if I can build community events that's sparse, then I'm a separator that's just going to keep bringing people together. And as Cory says, intuition, like, right? I can't take that feeling out of my heart. Like, I know it's supposed to happen. If I just keep working at it and building relationships, it's going to happen. So,
well, I can speak on that too. We're building the same thing in our business right now because, look, you guys can go buy 25 different protein companies. But why would you buy mine? Well, because there's going to be value just like you're getting right here at every one of my events, and support online, and a difference. And like, I actually think that as AI gets more pronounced, it's actually going to make us grow even more personally because of this part, right? Because this part you can't fake. You either do it or you don't do it. And so I think doubling down on authentically that we actually truly want to make an impact on people will, help our businesses a lot. So that's why I'm coming down here to once a month to do this with Matt, because I know what's going to happen here. I mean, you guys can look around. Like, if it was negative, it's not negative no more.
It's going to happen. It's just taking reps. And as I was driving up here, I'm trying to rehearse a little bit what I'm trying to say. And nervous and excited. There's been times in our career that we're not nervous and excited. We're just waking up to check the box. But if you can wake up and be I was scared to death to walk through those doors. Still to this day, every time I sit in the seat, I'm nervous and excited. I encourage you to do what excites you and makes you nervous, because then you don't know if you're winning or losing. Because I'm enjoying today, regardless if there's $200 in sales or $2,000 in sales. I've already invested in myself. I've served and hung out with good people. Like, that's winning.
So one of the things that I've noticed and I love about what I'm listening between you guys is you're both multifaceted. So what would you say is the best route to take if you are multifaceted, have the capability to do, various things, but what would be the best road to stack that instead of being so diverse that you're diluted and ineffective? So I'm finding myself with a little bit of spare time. Do I pour more fuel on a fire of something I'm already doing? Or do I explore roads that I may not have gone down that may be a passion that just got shelved somewhere?
That's a great question.
I think, how could I monetize my skill set, right? I'm in fitness, I'm in meal prep, and now I'm in connection. Through fitness, I learn people's maybe paying me to lift weights, but more so they're paying me to just be a friend and accountability. So even though this coffee may have nothing to do with the cafe, but it's still in my wheelhouse. So Marshall, you're super talented at X, Y, and Z. You don't need to go invest money in a new thing that you know nothing about. Like, I know nothing about coffee, but if I didn't sell the first cup of coffee, I was going to win on the events, because I had already trained myself in fitness events and 150 people in a school parking lot. So I already had the logistics of entertaining. I would encourage you to, how could I throw money, gasoline on a skill set that you have that's already intertwined in your business? Like construction, okay? Now, is it concrete or just there's so many things in home remodels. Take your skill set and just apply it to another area that's you're not in yet.
I do a lot of different things, but they all are kind of in the same silo, right? So it's like, even now I do some business coaching, which is still like, it kind of complements like the stuff we're talking about here. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that now I do have some like essentially like hobbies that are outside of fitness related stuff. And it's like, I don't know that I've really went all in to try to make money from any of that stuff. I just started doing some content on it because I think some people like the diversity of just like to know you better, right? So there might be something that has nothing to do with your construction or whatever you're into. It could be that you collect baseball cards. That's like one of the things I like, right? So I do a little bit of content on that just to show a little bit more of my personality, and people message me about it all the time because they do, or they used to, or whatever it is, right? Which, by the way, then means that they're like, oh, you know what? I haven't done Cory's workouts in a while, but he just got this Joe DiMaggio card that like, that's sick. But it reminds them. So I would say, don't discount that you need to make money from it, but it might be something that could lead back to your original thing just because you're into it. So they tie, and Gary Vee actually said something about this, that part of like, I created content about, I like old school Toyotas. Like I got a 97 Land Cruiser. There's a ton of people that have 80 series Land Cruisers. because they're tanks, right? And so those people also need places to buy protein and work out. You know what I mean? So think about that more of like, if you're into this other niche stuff, maybe it's just you being you, but it can still tie back to just awareness of what your skill set is, of how you make money. And then if it shows to have legs, maybe there is something that is there. But that's kind of the way that I look at it. And I started doubling down on that a little bit more recently. But most everything I do has to do with like helping people or helping people get better, or, you know, products or support based around that.
Yeah, good question, Marshall.
Yeah, but I think about it like that, Marshall. I think it'd be cool.
Do you like to fish?
Yeah.
So show me you catching a big catfish, and
Yeah.
we're going to be, you know,
That's real. 'Cause
yeah,
people
showcase
go,
yourself.
Yeah.
It leads us back to transparency, right? Social media sometimes can be the pro or the con. I always say you shouldn't be on social media unless you're trying to entertain, educate, or motivate. Not really trying to talk about politics, religion, because somebody wants to complain.
Yeah,
but
you can't change nobody's mind on any of that stuff. I stay away from all of it.
But if you show me fishing with your brother, cousin, son, it's like, wow, that shows who Marshall is.
Just got home from work, caught this big catfish in the river. Bro, it was 7 pounds. Like, there's going to be people that go,
Just like whenever you told me the other day, I didn't know about you, but you said, hey, 12 months since I had my last drink. Immediately had a connection with you. Because it's like, I am now relatable to you, right? But a lot of people don't want to talk about whether vices or and I'm just like, I'm an open book.
But that's authenticity and a separator. So yeah, double down on that. Because like, I did some content on, I had these one Joe Montana rookie card and an OJ Simpson rookie card that I got when I was 12. And I still have them, and shared that on social media. And there was all kinds of people messaging me about it, which was way more than was on my fitness posts, which was hilarious. So it's just a good reminder that we're people and got all kinds of interests.
All right, a few more questions. We're getting to 10:05. We've got about 5 to 10 minutes left, and we'll wrap it up.
I love what you said about the power of waking up early. I'm in that right now, trying to just get up early as I can every day, and I'm still mind blown. Cory's over here waking up at 3 a.m. It's just crazy. How do you prioritize or carve out time like with your family and your wife and children?
Yes. So definitely lack of sleep, DJ, for a long time. But here's what I'll tell you, as a lot of people have chirped at me about this for a really long time about the recovery. Because obviously, like, there's a performance aspect to my job for a really long time, right? Getting ready for these magazines, powerlifting, all this. It was all the other stuff that allowed me to do that. Because my nutrition was on point, because I didn't miss my aminos in the morning, because I made sure I did this. I wasn't drinking during the week. I had boundaries to keep myself, so then the 5 hours I got was just as high quality as someone else that's getting 8 or 10. And I've like stood on that hill, and I'll die on it essentially, because when I finally wore the Whoop thing or whatever it is, I was getting 96 and 97% like sleep quality almost every night, and REM sleep. So it was proven. I knew that's how I felt, and I would say that, but I didn't have anything to back it up. And then I had them as a sponsor on my podcast back in the day, so they sent it to me, and I was like, boom, this is why I felt it. So, but it had nothing to do. It's like when I was asleep, I was asleep. When I was up, I was up. And I think like the last night though, is funny because I came home, my son was home from college. He's a junior at Ohio State, and we went out to eat last night with my family. I got home and I was like, I've been really busy figuring out a bunch of stuff. I looked at Rachel, I was like, it was 7. I was like, I think I'm going to bed. I normally go to bed between 9 and 10, but I was like, I got to come down here with Matt tomorrow. I want to make sure I'm fresh, and like, I'm just tired. So I literally went to bed. I didn't even know if I would actually sleep the whole time. But 3:30 came and I was like, boom. I was like, damn, I got 8 hours. That's crazy. Now, I couldn't do that on a regular basis because there'd be no family time, right? So I have a hard cut between 9:30 and 10. I don't miss a practice. I don't miss a game. I'm there each night. And so, because my parents like work so much, they really weren't at a lot of my stuff. So that's a real important thing for me. My dad came to one basketball game a year for my entire high school career because of he was a truck driver and he was working, or he was in the mine when I was younger. And like my mom worked like multiple jobs. So that's like something that was really important to me to try to carve out and try to also not be on my phone at that time. And I'm not saying I do a great job of that all the time, but I am present of it. But it has to be super pinpointed, DJ. That's the only way it works.
And also, DJ, I would just say communication with your wife, the
Yeah.
standards, the expectations. A lot easier said than done. Mike's here, and hopefully she puts me on the hot seat. But your wife knows that you got to go to bed at 9:30 or 10.
Yeah.
Versus if you don't have that conversation up front, she may expect you to be like, oh, from 10 to 11, we're going to watch a show together. That's our time. Hey, like, no, 10 o'clock, I have to be asleep because one, I got to invest in myself, and then I have a 10-hour workday.
Yeah.
So she has to be supportive of your schedule.
Well, and also like straight up Rachel, back in the Muscle Farm days specifically, she would come over and be like, do you really need to be doing this right now? You know, like sending these emails, doing these things. And I would say like 7 out of 10 times she was probably right. And the times that she wasn't, I'd be like, actually, like I'm 50 grand away from losing the company right now. So yes, I do need to be doing this. But she would also accept that answer. Hey, this is not the time where I get to do these other things. This is the sacrifice time. But the other time was me just being crazy because I'm scared to be in the other part, right? So it's like, so I think like having that, to Matt's point, having that communication on, is this the time where there's no choice? And is there a choice? And I think that, you know, is also what you're trying to ascend and do, is what that answer. So that was really helpful for me. And we've talked about that a lot over the years. So that's just as real as it gets, man. And sometimes she most of the time she would be right though, to be honest with you.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I guess my question might be multiple kind of, but so I'm still, I guess, in the infancy stage of my business. It's been, I think, a little less than 2 years, and I'm busier than I've ever been.
That's awesome, Matt.
I've never advertised. It's all word of mouth, and I know it's because of my dedication and authenticity when I come to work with somebody, because sometimes, you know, I have a customer ask me to do something and I say, I've never done that, or I don't want to do that. And they're still like, I need you to do it. You know, it's just because they know me, they like me, and I've built that. But it's
know, like, and trust. Yep.
It is. And, but I guess when you guys have been blown up and have all these things going, how do you prioritize or take the moment to step back? Because I'm finding myself where I'm coming up with excuses, and I'm not that type of person who likes to give excuses. I hate that. And some of them are real. You know, I've had, you know, a motorcycle accident take out one of my employees. Now he was my right-hand man. I'm building a roof. And now I'm stuck on a project, you know? So I guess how do you navigate that and able to just kind of get yourself together?
Yeah. So in my business coaching, I have clients that do all kinds of different stuff. Like I have an engineer in Maine and a person that runs an aerospace company in Philly, and like a person who runs like this whole ATM business down in Texas. Like they all have the same thing. That's like something we talk about in it. A lot of it is the time blocking, Matt, meaning that there's certain times where you dig deep on certain things, and also understanding where does Matt's mind work the best on these certain things in those blocks of time. So let me give you an example. I mentioned it earlier. If I'm going to create content or do something that's inspirational or maybe different or like unique, I can't be doing that at 1 p.m. because I've already put out 3 fires, read a spreadsheet. Like that part of my brain's pretty much cooked for the day. The reason why I want this to be at 9 a.m. is because you're going to get the best version of Cory. I've already got up. I've had my morning routine, and I drove here. I didn't do anything else in between except for just think, you know what I mean? And then I can come here and just do my best job so I can answer this. And so the reality is you might have to look at, are you forcing yourself? And that's where the overwhelm comes sometimes. I'm forcing myself in these boxes at these certain times where I'm already got all this other stuff that's renting space. And I think like getting time to be like, okay, when I do billing, I'm just doing billing. When I'm talking to clients or bidding jobs, I'm just doing that. Like trying to not intermix it all together. And then real issues that you got, like you just explained, you just go straight with people. Yo, this is just what happened. This is the real time frame. I noticed that like back in the day when I was super busy, like, and even now, like just going right down the middle with the real truth. So you give the proper expectation. Here's the thing in business. Sometimes all the answers suck. And you gotta pick the one that sucks less. I mean, it's just the truth. And I've literally even articulated it like that. I think people can identify like, yo, this guy's got this, and this. This is the reality of the situation. Here's how I'm trying to do it. But I would just really look at, Now what's required is your work capacity to get better. And through you figuring out how you best work, and that's where that's going to come from. So I've had a lot of people ask me this, and as you guys watch Matt operate right now, all these locations, new coffee thing, all this thing going on, you're like, how the hell does this dude do it? I mean, that's how people have come to me over time because of these like time blocking and building confidence in 2 years, dude, like that's amazing. And the fact that you got this much, the presence of mind to go like, yo, this is the problem I want to have. Now through that, I have to grow and get better with the way I'm going to be so I can just kill all this stuff. And hopefully that answers kind of it. That's the way I would look at it if I was like straight up coaching you, like, yo, I would have you lay out your whole schedule and be like, when are you doing these certain things? Is that when you should be doing them? You know what I mean? And like, when can you be like, when you're on this, you just smoking that thing out of the park, like, and then you're on to the next thing. And so I think like, that's the way I would kind of look at it. So Matt.
Yeah, I would just say grow yourself. All right. We talked like, where's Matt at? We need Matt up here. We need a lot of self-development. We got to growth. We got to believe in ourselves. We got to be a winner. You are the best. I am the best. Power of delegation. Okay. Now that's why when you're out in the community, my head's on a swivel. Who can fit within my team? How can I take a young high school kid and grow within my umbrella? And then also visualizing your perfect day. Only you know what you're like. Don't be a victim to the customer. Build your company, handyman services from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Then go be a family. And clear expectations, clear standards. Hey, I quit work at 5 o'clock so I can be with my family. If you want the other guy and the half roof done or the half deck, but whenever you get me, you're going to get quality. It may take a couple weeks longer, but you're supporting local, and you can guarantee my company is going to give you the best we have.
Well,
so,
I ask myself all the time too, Matt, sorry, I mean to cut you off, how do I want to operate? I ask myself that all the time. How do I want to operate? That's essentially another question of like, what's your perfect day? And look, we are going to have to do a bunch of stuff we don't want to do to get what we want. That's part of it, right? But if it's within how I want to operate, I don't mind doing it. And if you're actually taking the chess pieces and going, this is how I operate the best. See, that's where I think you need right now is you need to figure out how do you need to operate the best so you can provide that like time so you're just with your family or whatever the goal is. I think that you're just going to feel a lot better, dude. Like I can't tell you how many times I've went through that with entrepreneurs. They got so many things going on and I'm like, and I'm not even an organized person, honestly, but I'm organizing my thought process around how I know how I want to operate. And that helps a ton. So hopefully that helps, Matt.
And lastly, Matt, I would say not be afraid. Thinking when I add somebody to the team is going to take away from your top dollar. All right. So I watched you build the stage. You and DJ did. Do you think there's another person out there within this community that could have screwed the bolts into the 2x4s? But yet you was here for 8 hours screwing the bolts into the 2x4s. So if you could have delegated that task, went and grew the business and become more efficient, yeah, you're going to give up $100, $200, but is that worth your sanity and the growth of your business? That's your answer right there. Yeah, all right, last one. Brooke, and we're well over our time.
So my question is actually for Cory.
Yeah, what's up, Brooke?
Hey, so my question is, being so like ahead of the game of Matt and I, so talking about business and marriage, what would be your best advice to give a married couple with our relationship, building or in that grind stage of business?
Yeah, it's tough, but I think like to Matt's point, like the communication of where you guys are going. Like I've tried to paint the picture of, well, here's the other thing is sometimes you paint the picture and my wife was like, well, I don't even need all that. And I was like, okay. So, we go to Italy on vacation. I buy her a Gucci purse. She ain't never carried it. She's not into like material stuff. I'm trying to like have the Rolex and all that stuff, right? Which, by the way, you get all those things and you realize that's not what it is all the way, right? Now, I can say that because I had them. I would still pursue them because I'd rather say, oh, I had it and I don't need it, rather than I never got to touch it. That's the difference, because you hear people all the time, oh, it's not about the money. Yeah, because they got money. I was poor. You couldn't tell me that. I wanted to experience it. So I think the communication of where, okay, this is the process what we have to go through. Here's what my aspiration is. And I would also say that, Brooke, like Rachel couldn't really see my vision all the way, but she believed in me. That's all I needed, right? And so it's like, I realized really early that what I see, other people can't see. And I can't get mad if they don't see it, but if they support it and they're not hindering it, but also making sure that we was aligned on, but this is really what's possible. And honestly, we blew through all of that stuff. And now we're having other conversations. What's the next part of our life look like? What kind of stress do we want to handle? What do we want to do? I want to do more things like this. I want to teach and coach and just like keep giving back, because I can't believe it happened to me. Honestly, you know what I mean? Like I see how enthusiastic Matt is and what you guys are building for your family. I want to contribute however I can, because I know what's coming for you guys, because I've been living it, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I just think that constant communication, which I would say, I don't know that I've done a great job at all the time because I'm so like focused, but that's been big. But she would remind me, hey, by the way, if you're doing this for this, that's not what I need. This is what I need. And I think that that's a good thing to kind of like keep in check.
Cory, I think I have observed, is Fridays at like 3 pretty locked in for you and your wife? So you have a schedule?
I'm at the bar. I know some people ain't drinking. I'm drinking on Fridays. At least I have I've been actually doing more non-alcoholic, Matt, since me and you could talk about this.
Hey,
but anyway,
birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, and normally we go out on Fridays though for like a date.
But that's consistent. So I'm saying is like every Friday you guys are having a date.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can go around the room. My wife and I, we haven't went on a date in 8 weeks or 12 weeks. Yeah. And that's real talk. Real talk. And I would say if any married couples out here, like maybe you haven't been on a date in 2 or 3 weeks. And the longer you go without that, that's when the friction begins to happen.
Yeah.
And
back to what Matt said, like one of the things that I always wanted to do is, it's funny because when I became an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs are fighting for just like the freedom to do whatever the hell they want. I mean, that's at the end of the day, whether you're self-employed and you're in the business, you're screwing in the stuff, or you're running a business, we are fighting to say our kid needs to go do this, I can go do it. I want to take vacation, I ain't got to ask nobody. That's what you fight for, right? That's it. And so I look at it like, how do I want to operate? You know what? I don't want to have a full day on Friday. I want to be able to go, like Rachel stayed at home since Alex was born. She'd been at home, like helping me with the businesses and doing whatnot. It's like, we can be at the pub at 3 o'clock on Friday if I want. I usually take appointments till like 10 or 11 o'clock, like coaching, and then I'm just shut it down. My office even only has a 4-day week. We work Monday through Thursday. Everyone's available online, but like, it's just like how I want to operate. So then I have to have my work capacity be greater during those other times so I can still operate like that. And so that's the thing, like, so you can dream it up and be like, how do I really want this thing to look? Do I want to work 4 12s? Because I know I'll put out during that time and I'm going to bid in the morning and then chill with the wife in the evening on Friday, early. Just, you can create whatever you want. So it's cool.
all right, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us at Connect Café. I'm your host, Matt Keeney. This is Cory Gregory. Till next time, see you guys in December.
Yeah, boy. Awesome. Good job, Matt.